Karnataka, where stray dog attacks continue to pose a serious threat. In Davanagere's Sasvihalli area of Mainakatti village, a pack of street dogs attacked 4 children and an elderly man. The victims, showing deep scratches and bite marks, have been admitted to the Shimoga, Megan and Honali Taluk hospitals. The children were playing in a courtyard when the dogs pounced, while an elderly man sitting on a temple platform was also mauled. Villagers have expressed outrage, accusing the local Gram Panchayat of failing to control the menace and demanding urgent action. Meanwhile, in Tumkur, a woman named Gangubai was attacked by a stray dog near Gabbi Court. The rampaging dog bit her face multiple times as she tried to escape, leaving her severely injured. Locals rescued the bleeding woman, who was initially treated at the Taluk hospital before being shifted to Bengaluru for further care. The attacking dog was killed by locals in a bid to protect others. These incidents highlight growing concerns over stray dog attacks in the region, with villagers calling for immediate measures to prevent further tragedies. Stray dogs attack continuing in Karnataka, posing a serious threat. Pack of street dogs attacking 4 children in Davanagere's Sasvihalli area. The street dogs attacking children who were at the playground and an elderly man as well, who was sitting on a temple platform, who was also mauled. We have my colleague Mohammad Wajula now joining us with more details. Vaji, talk to us. Both in Davanagere and Tumkur, stray dog attacks continuing. It's a larger trend in Karnataka, isn't it?
Absolutely, Krishna. 2 incidents of stray dog. One in Tumkur, where the attack was on a woman who had come to court for a hearing, and that is when the dog bit her. And in these visuals also that you can see of Tumkur, it is a horrific attack on the face of the woman who's also been injured. Local people were there when all of this happened, and they rescued her from the dog. And right now she is at the Taluk hospital getting treatment done. Then the next incident that comes to light is from the Davanagere, where a street dog menace has started all over again. This incident is of Mavankatti village, Gram Panchayat limits, where the kid was playing outside, was mauled by a dog, and in these videos you can see at the back of the kid where the dog has bitten her badly, and this has again raised alarms of stray dog incident in the state.
Right. The locals for now have accused the Gram Panchayat for failing to control the menace and demanding urgent action. But it's a nationwide debate, isn't it? And enforcement has to be right from the top, right down to the Gram Panchayat level.
Absolutely, Krishna. This is a nationwide thing after the Supreme Court's verdict, and then the agitation that we saw and Supreme Court ruling it again. It has created an awareness with regards to stray dog, and also to the municipality, especially a reality check on the menace of dog in their own area. After the Supreme Court verdict, we've seen how various districts in the state also had put notification on controlling the dog menace, and we've seen a lot of people coming out and narrating their stories. In Bangalore alone, we've seen a few incidents of dog bite and dog attack. In fact, dog bite is one, a random stray dog would come and bite, but here we are also seeing incidents of attack of dogs in packs. So that is something that is worrisome, and the authorities from the ground level to the top level, and everyone will have to intervene and make sure that these are curbed before things go out of hand.
Right, and the fact of the matter is that one is setting up rules that are needed, that are required, that don't exist as of now when it comes to managing stray dogs, in terms of taking care of them, ensuring, those on the street are safe and, all the medical formalities are taken care of. And the other is to figure out, the excess. How do you deal with the excess? And more importantly, that's where the local authorities become far more important than the policies at the national level, isn't it?
Absolutely, Krishna. We need strict regulations on how this menace can be curtailed, especially the awareness group, the NGOs who work with the dog. We've seen how when the Supreme Court had given its verdict, we've seen activists agitating with regards to the fact that instead of them being put at a detention center, a proper vaccination program should be led forward. And that is something that the government should intervene and make sure that this vaccination program that they're talking about is a national-wide thing than a part of certain states like a Delhi or a Bangalore, but an overall thing which helps everyone to curb this menace.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, the problem is even within a state, it is both urban as well as semi-urban as well, be it a Tumkur or a Bengaluru, or a Davanagere. It is a problem where wherever the residential areas are aplenty, that's where the problem really strikes, isn't it?
Absolutely. In residential areas, we see the menace increasing because there are a mixed bag of people in residential areas. Those who cater to these dogs, who provide them with food, while in the same vicinity, you will also have people who would not be interested and would be against the whole idea of feeding the stray. And that is where in residential areas, you see stray dogs settling down because they have this belief that somebody will feed them. And that is where the menace also starts increasing. From one dog to then you'll see 10 to 15 dogs coming by. So there is no regulation in societies. In fact, in some societies, you will see stray dogs moving around, getting unchecked. And even in localities where prime localities also, there also the number and menace of dogs have increased. So
right.
It requires an overall government pressure from the government to make sure laws are set and these things are curbed.
Right. Thank you, Vaji, for bringing us that update from Karnataka. Keeping it with Karnataka, a shocking sunroof mishap in Bengaluru that has left a young boy injured after he hit his head on a height restriction barrier while standing through a moving car. The incident happened on Saturday afternoon at around 1 p.m. on the GKVK road in the Vidyaranyapura area. According to the police, the child was standing upright with his head out of the sunroof when the car drove under a low railway barrier. The beam struck the boy's head, causing him to fall back inside the vehicle. The height bar had been installed to prevent tall vehicles from passing under a railway structure. Surprisingly, the family did not immediately report the incident. But once video footage of the accident surfaced online, authorities took note and launched an investigation. Police are now reviewing that CCTV footage from the area and questioning those involved. The incident has again raised serious questions about allowing children to stand with the sunroofs open while a vehicle is in motion, a practice that continues despite repeated safety warnings. Japan is bracing for political uncertainty after Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba announced his resignation on Sunday. At 68, Ishiba said that he had instructed his ruling Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, to hold an emergency leadership race and vowed to serve until his successor is chosen. His decision follows a string of election defeats. In less than a year in office, Ishiba saw his coalition lose majorities in both houses of the Japanese parliament amidst growing public anger over soaring living costs. Calls for him to step down intensified after July's loss in the upper house of the parliament. At a press conference, Ishiba said he wanted to pass the baton to the next generation, noting that Japan had just cleared a key hurdle by signing a trade agreement with the US on tariffs that have hit the country's vital auto sector. Markets reacted nervously even before his announcement. The yen and government bonds sold off last week with the 30-year yield hitting a record high, reflecting fears of prolonged political paralysis. Attention now turns to who will succeed him. Among the frontrunners are LDP veteran Sanae Takaichi, known for her support of looser fiscal and monetary policy, and Shinjiro Koizumi, the high-profile farm sector minister and son of former Prime Minister Junichiro Koizumi. Analysts say Koizumi is unlikely to bring major shifts, while Takaichi's economic stance could draw scrutiny from the markets. But uncertainty remains. The LDP no longer commands a majority in either house of the parliament, raising doubts over whether its next leader will automatically become Prime Minister. A snap election is possible, though a new poll shows that most Japanese voters don't think it's necessary. Ishiba's resignation marks a dramatic fall for a leader who narrowly defeated Takaichi in last year's party race. His final act as premier was to seal a $550 billion investment pledge with Washington in exchange for tariff relief, a deal he hoped would shield Japan's fragile economy. Now, with Ishiba stepping aside, Japan faces a leadership vacuum at a delicate moment for the world's fourth largest economy. In Gaza, Israeli forces have intensified their offensive on Gaza City, dropping evacuation leaflets urging civilians to flee south, and then launching airstrikes that leveled a high-rise tower in the city's center. The Israeli military said the building was being used by Hamas for intelligence operations, though Hamas has denied this, claiming that the tower sheltered displaced families. A video shared by Israel's defense minister showed the multi-story structure collapsing in a cloud of dust and debris. This assault comes as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered the capture of Gaza City, which Israel describes as Hamas's main stronghold. Heavy strikes have continued for weeks, with Israeli forces now just a few kilometers from the city center. Gazan health officials report that at least 23 Palestinians were killed in a single day, including 13 in Gaza City. According to local authorities, more than 64,000 Palestinians have been killed since the war began nearly 2 years ago. Meanwhile, the hostage issue continues to dominate Israeli politics. Families of captives are pressing for a diplomatic deal, while Netanyahu insists on an all-or-nothing exchange, all hostages for Hamas's surrender. Hamas has released a new video showing two captives, one of whom said they were being held in Gaza City and feared dying in Israel's assault. US President Donald Trump says that Washington is in what he calls very deep negotiations with Hamas to secure the release of the remaining hostages.
We're in very deep negotiation with Hamas. We said, let them all out right now, let them all out, and much better things will happen for them. But if you don't let them all out, it's going to be a tough situation. It's going to be nasty. That's my opinion. Israel's choice, but that's my opinion. They got to let them out. You got 20 plus you have about 38 dead people, young, beautiful, dead people. And I'll tell you, the parents want them every bit as much, almost more, than as if their son or daughter were alive. But you have many dead people that are coming out as part of the deal. It's 20 people, but I think of the 20, there could be some that have recently died, is what I'm hearing.
In one of the largest overnight assaults in recent months, Russian forces have launched a massive strike on Ukraine's capital, Kiev, killing at least 3 civilians, including 2 women and a baby. According to officials, 17 others have been injured, with 7 hospitalized after missiles and drones slammed into residential and administrative buildings in Kiev. A fire broke out on the top floor of a government building in Kiev's central Pechersky district. In a blistering post on social media platform X, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the latest mass attack as a deliberate crime and a call to action for the world. In his post, he wrote of how more than 800 drones and 13 missiles, including ballistic, struck Ukraine overnight, causing widespread destruction. Zelensky called the attacks a deliberate crime, urging swift international action and air defense support to stop what he calls senseless killings. Kiev's mayor Vitaly Klitschko confirmed the casualties and described the attack as one of the most intense yet. Ukraine's Air Force confirmed that Russia launched 805 drones and 13 missiles across the country overnight. Rescue and recovery operations are ongoing, with fears that the casualty count could rise up further. Meanwhile, Russia has announced a major breakthrough in the fight against cancer. The country's new cancer vaccine has successfully completed preclinical trials, demonstrating strong safety and high effectiveness. According to Veronika Swartzva, head of the Federal Medical and Biological Agency, the vaccine reduced tumor size by 60 to 80% and slowed disease progression significantly. Increased survival rates were also observed. The vaccine is now awaiting official approval and will initially target colorectal cancer. Researchers are also advancing vaccines for glioblastoma and certain melanomas. This development was revealed at the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok, where over 8,400 participants from 75 countries gathered. Cancer vaccines work by helping the immune system recognize and attack cancer cells, offering new hope in cancer treatment and prevention worldwide. Now, in a major diplomatic development, South Korea has vowed full support for its citizens following a massive U.S. immigration raid on a Hyundai motor car battery plant in Georgia in the U.S. The raid, the largest single-site operations in U.S. Homeland Security history, saw the arrest of over 475 workers, including more than 300 South Korean nationals. Videos released by U.S. authorities showed Asian workers shackled and being escorted onto buses. The incident has sparked strong reactions in Seoul, with President Lee Jae-myung ordering an emergency response and urging that the rights of Korean citizens must not be unjustly violated during U.S. law enforcement actions.
In video released by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Asian workers are seen shackled and getting onto a bus after an ICE raid on a Hyundai Motor car battery facility in Georgia. 300 Koreans were arrested in Thursday's raid, and on Saturday, South Korea's president ordered all-out efforts to swiftly respond. Foreign Minister Chu Hyun told an emergency government meeting that he was deeply concerned by the incident. He said the president, quote, emphasized that in the course of U.S. law enforcement, the rights of our people and the economic activities of South Korean investors in the U.S. must not be unjustly infringed upon. Thursday's arrest of some 475 workers, including over 300 Koreans, at the plant near Savannah was the largest single-site enforcement operation in the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's history. The special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigations in Georgia and Alabama said in a Saturday statement, quote, "This operation sends a clear message that those who exploit the system and undermine our workforce will be held accountable." But the arrests could deepen tensions between Washington and Seoul, a key ally and investor in the U.S. The countries have been at odds over the details of a trade deal that includes $350 billion of investments. At a summit last month, South Korea pledged $150 billion in U.S. investments, including $26 billion from Hyundai Motor.
India has taken a giant leap in its economic reform journey with the launch of GST 2.0, effective from the 22nd of September. This landmark overhaul simplifies India's indirect tax system to just two main slabs, 5% and 18%, with a higher 40% rate for luxury and sin goods. Unanimously approved by all states, GST 2.0 cuts taxes on over 175 everyday items, exempts essentials like milk, paneer and roti, and reduces rates on products ranging from shampoo to electronics. For example, TVs and refrigerators dropped from over 31% to 18%, while sanitary pads are now fully exempt. Farmers in rural India benefit too, with GST on fertilizers, tractors and irrigation equipment cut to 5%, helping boost farm incomes and rural livelihoods. The construction sector sees tax cuts on cement, steel, bricks and sand, making housing more affordable. MSMEs will enjoy easier compliance with pre-filled returns and faster refunds, easing cash flow issues. This reform, coupled with a higher 12 lakh income tax exemption, is expected to boost consumption by over 5 lakh crore rupees and add over 1% to GDP growth. With inflation at a low 2.1% and exports hitting record highs, GST 2.0 promises to strengthen India's position as the world's fastest growing major economy. In a landmark moment for India's tech sector, the country's first telecom system powered by indigenous semiconductor chips has received the Telecommunication Engineering Centre or TEC certification. The announcement came from IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw, who called it a big leap for India's semiconductor story. This marks the first time a made-in-India chip-based telecom system has passed the rigorous standards and quality tests required for TEC approval. The TEC, which functions under the Department of Telecommunications, ensures that telecom equipment meets strict quality and performance benchmarks before entering the Indian network ecosystem. This milestone is a significant boost for the Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat initiatives, showcasing India's rising capabilities in chip design, fabrication, and telecom innovation. It also signals India's growing ambition to become a serious player in the global electronics and semiconductor landscape, reducing reliance on imports and strengthening the country's digital infrastructure from the ground up. India's commitment to combating money laundering and terrorism financing has received global recognition. The Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, has lauded the Union Ministry of Home Affairs' online mutual legal assistance portal for its role in standardizing international cooperation in criminal matters. This portal streamlines the process of sharing legal assistance requests between countries, enhancing efficiency and transparency. A notable example highlighted by the FATF is the Enforcement Directorate's investigation into a dark net-based fentanyl trafficking syndicate. In 2022, the US Department of Justice sought India's assistance under the MLA Treaty. The collaborative effort led to the dismantling of a major drug trafficking organization with the seizure of over 8,500 bitcoins valued at approximately $150 million, which were being used for money laundering and financing illicit activities. This case underscores the importance of international collaboration in addressing complex financial crimes. The FATF's endorsement of India's MLA portal sets a benchmark for effective cross-border legal cooperation, reinforcing India's position as a proactive participant in global efforts to combat financial crimes. India's foreign exchange reserves have risen by over $3.5 billion, touching nearly $700 billion for the week ending the 29th of August, according to the Reserve Bank of India. This increase follows a decline of over $4 billion in the previous week. The growth is primarily attributed to a $1.5 billion rise in foreign currency assets, which now stand at over $580 billion. Additionally, gold reserves saw an increase of over $1.7 billion, reaching nearly $87 billion. Special drawing rights, or SDRs, also rose by $40 million to over $18.7 billion, while India's reserve position with the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, improved by $18 million to over $4.7 billion. These developments highlight a positive trend in India's economic stability, with the central bank diversifying its reserves through increased gold holdings and strengthening its position with the IMF.